Haskins, more like has been. Let's open the black book. Hey, yo! What's up, everybody? It's not Joey P. Joey P's on a little R&R. So when you know it, what is the black book without Pia? It's kind of ITL. It is Bogman. It is Welsh for another edition of the Fantasy Black Book. Right here on the Brawl Network. You can check them out on the Twitter everywhere. Just type in the Brawl Network. I think it's Brawl Network on Twitter. You can find their YouTube. We also have the video up of this episode live and in Technicolor on the Brawl Network's YouTube page. You can find every episode we've pretty much done, except maybe like the very first one since we've been with Brawl. This is the Week 16 edition of the Fantasy Black Book, Bogman and Welsh style. And there's some stuff. There's some stuff to talk about. Obviously, fantasy championships out the window. Week 16 was crazy. There are in-game things we could talk about, but probably nothing bigger, and really kind of nice that we were able to wait just a tiny bit into the week and not just go breaking down the games, because we were granted with the news of, yes, my opening moniker there, Bogman, of Dwayne has been. Dwayne has been through all the dollar bills. He was able to tip himself into obscurity because Dwayne Haskins is released. Every time I read the WFT, this one was WTF. This was
Yeah.
the WTF football team. The Washington football team officially waived Haskins. He was fined $40,000 for his stripping escapade, which I argued he might have spent more at the strip club. And he even went on Twitter and apologized, or Instagram, or whatever the hell. It's probably Instagram.
I did the same thing today after being released.
No, that's what I'm saying. He went on after and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to be better. I'm 23 years old, blah, 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 blah."
Just imagine if Antonio Brown had no talent. That's exactly what Dwayne Haskins is.
That's where it ends. They're just like, imagine Antonio Brown with no talent. End of sentence.
Yeah, exactly. That's where Dwayne Haskins is. Yeah. It's he did the strip club bit last week or whatever. Came back, got stripped of his captaincy, of course, and they gave it to Chase Young, who's actually the future of the franchise.
Still a shock to me. In some world that Haskins was the captain of that team. I still don't comprehend where they're just like,
they have every team has 3 captains. I think it's 3 or 4 captains. So usually it's your starting quarterback, your best defensive player or your longest tenured defensive player, someone on special teams, and then another guy.
The best tipper.
Yeah, whoever the best tipper is.
The party guy.
So it must be that he must have been the party champion there, whatever, captain. So
you think he finds a new spot? I mean, this is a big thing.
Yeah, he does.
So much so, the Philadelphia Eagles were officially eliminated from playoff contention this past weekend. Washington is still in it. Alex Smith is no question to go. I was about to call them the R words. The WTFs were so committed, which I'll give them credit because they have made so many bad mistakes. Just from top to bottom, they are the kings of making the wrong move and the mistakes, and waiting too long for the name change, Daniel Snyder, everything else. And this one was like, you're in playoff contention. You might only have Tyler Heineke. I mean, that sounds like a girl that he met at the strip club that he might have been with. That's going to be the quarterback. They were so committed to Haskins being done. They said, screw it. You're gone. You're out of this. I don't know why they didn't do it immediately if they needed to sit around and wait, but he's gone. Heineke probably is going to be the quarterback if Alex Smith doesn't go. That is a huge move going into Week 17, where Washington, I think, has some way to make the playoffs.
They win, they're in. That's period, end of story. They beat Philly. They win the division. That's it. So, and if they lose, then it's whoever wins that Dallas and New York game wins the division, goes in the playoffs. So Dallas can still win. The Giants, I saw something that today that said the Giants could end up with the number 3 pick or the number 32 pick in the draft. That's how wide their range is, because they could still go to the playoffs.
Say that again.
They could end up with the number 3 pick in the NFL draft based on record, or they could end up with the number 32.
Oh, that to your okay. I wasn't comprehending the other part. You're saying if they were to go through the playoffs, make it to the Super Bowl,
win the Super Bowl, yeah,
that wasn't competing with me. I'm like, what? Okay,
yeah. So because they still have a shot at the playoffs, so it's between 3 and 32. I mean, it's more likely to be 3 than it is 32. Let's be honest here, but it's not that surprising when you think about, okay, this guy, he went from being first string to third. Remember, they put Kyle Allen ahead of him. Kyle Allen was first up after Haskins went. Then Kyle Allen got hurt, and then Alex Smith came in, and then Alex Smith stayed in because Haskins was way behind. Heineke was with Carolina last year. He's a Ron Rivera guy. So they brought him in to play third string. And then this week with Alex Smith being down and, Haskins being an idiot, Heineke got a lot of run with the first team, and Haskins looked terrible. So they threw in Heineke, and then Haskins acted like a little baby when he got benched and just refused to speak to the media. So if you keep screwing up, you keep losing your job, what is the point to keeping this guy around? It's clear that Ron Rivera does not like him. So just get rid of the distraction. That's what they did. But he will absolutely end up somewhere else and getting another shot. Maybe. I don't think they'll take a shot on him, but I would absolutely love him. I hate Mason Rudolph, so I would love to get Haskins in there. I think Haskins is better than Rudolph, but I don't know that that's saying a ton because
he's a reclamation type of guy, though. Like it's probably tropey, but I immediately think of like the Seahawks, Pete Carroll giving the chances to Gordon, maybe the Patriots, a cheap way. Cam Newton looks like a disaster, a cheap way for the Patriots to come out the other side. I mean, I will say one thing. If Haskins has done one thing right in this entire process, because he has stacked on bad stuff, is at least go out like a man. He acknowledged it. He apologized. He admitted he wasn't acting like an NFL quarterback. That's going to buy him a ticket to next year. That's going to buy him an easier ticket for someone to trust him and not give him the business of being like he's not a Josh Gordon. It's not remotely the same, but I'm just saying, like, he was released due to making really stupid young mistakes. And he ends his career with the Washington football team.
Got to grow up.
The WTFs, the Mark Marins. He ended 50% passing, 2 interceptions in that game before he was taken out for Heineke, who, by the way, was 12 for 19, threw a touchdown, also ran for 22 yards. Antonio Gibson returned in it, had 61. McKissick, 8 catches, 77 yards, a score. That was your offense for Washington. On the Panther side, Curtis Samuel led the way. Mike Davis got a score, but Curtis Samuel had 7 rushes for 52 and 5 catches for 106. Samuel's been a beast, but that's how Washington goes out, and he goes out with his 2 picks, 2 sacks, a 4 quarterback rating.
They should have never lost this game to Carolina. Like, Carolina plays hard, and if you're not good, they'll beat you, which is exactly what happened here. Matt Rule has them playing really well, which bodes well to Carolina's future, but there's no way with that defense that Washington has that Carolina should have been in this game. And they set him up. They set him up too many times. So not surprised that Haskins is gone. They still got a shot at just whoever this team is that makes it from the East is just going to get demolished in the first round. It's not going to be fun.
How disrespectful to the NFL will it be if they move on? Any team, it doesn't matter.
We've seen that before, but it was Seattle. Remember, Seattle finished 7-9 and won the division, and but then they went in and beat whoever they played. I can't even remember who it was, but yeah, man. Look, Washington is good enough when the offense plays well. The defense is strong. It's one of the best in the NFL, so they can beat a team, but they're not playing well right now. They just lost to Carolina. I can't see them winning a playoff game.
Washington.
I don't know if they'll beat Philly this week. That's a pick on the line right now. It's a pick because it's in Philly.
Is it Cowboys in if Washington loses and
it's whoever wins the Dallas and New York game? That's Dallas at New York this week. So if Washington loses to Philly, the winner of that game goes to the playoffs.
Washington is definitely one of those teams you look at and you're like, they actually legitimately might be a quarterback away. Look at McKissick, look at Gibson, look at the rise of Terry McLaurin. They've got a tight end on there. Their defense is legit. Chase Young is a superstar. That
Logan Thomas is third in the NFL in targets by tight end.
They've got 2 solid pass catchers. I mean, they could use another guy. They could use a free agent, like bringing in Allen Robinson to go beside Terry McLaurin, and then just get themselves themselves give it a half decent quarterback. Give them Kirk Cousins, in there or something like that.
Well, they had him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They had him. It just didn't work out. They
didn't have this defense or McLaurin or any of the fun weapons or anything like that. They didn't have any of those.
Give him Kirk Cousins, he says.
I mean, they could. You like
example. Yeah.
Let's do a quick run through all the games that weren't Sunday. You had the Friday game, which is still so weird to me. Alvin Kamara with his 155 yards, 6 touchdowns as the Saints beat the Vikings 52-33, which is still to me one of the wildest things I've ever seen. I'm super butthurt because I had him in our guillotine up until 2 weeks ago. And it's like, could I have just maybe got that before, the final week? But he alone won people fantasy championships, which was absolutely absurd. Adam Thielen was pretty good in the game, and Saints picked up their 11th win of the year. And Kamara is going to be weirdly valued. Not that it's going to change much, but like you might have had almost half of the season production fantasy points. At least 30% of his season total fantasy points had to have come from just this game. 6 touchdowns. I don't remember the last time I saw a 6 touchdown game. The only one that comes to mind is that college game with Rashawn Woods, where he scored like 8 with Oklahoma State.
Lodge scored 7 in a game before. So.
ASU?
Yeah, for ASU.
I don't
know.
But
it was against Texas Tech. So Texas, that was a Cliff Kingsbury defense. So we know how good they are. Yeah, look, this is going to annoyingly make Alvin Kamara the number 1 pick to a lot of people. He won so many people money this week by himself with the 6 touchdowns.
Imagine if you had just Devontae Adams and Kamara. Like you could have just sat your entire team.
You probably could have. Yeah, you probably could have won. Seeley had something where he said, how do you like? Yeah, like he named. It was like Kamara, Brady. God, somebody else that was really great. Gaskin. And you're like, you're already down 150 points, and none of your guys have played. Like it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I mean it was just stupid watching him, and I was like, I'm not playing against Kamara. Am I in my one championship? And I wasn't, thank God. But yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes, man. Is 6 touchdowns in a game. It's ridiculous.
He was an absolute monster. The Saturday games, we had 3 of them. I'm repping one of them. The 49ers beat up on the Cardinals. I said they were going to do that. I said that was happening at their new home in Arizona.
Pathetic effort. It was. Even the local people were like, like the local news was like, they didn't even look mad. They just looked sad on the sidelines.
They're just kind of a sad team. I mean, this was an opportunity. It was done in the broadcast. 49ers won 20-12. The broadcast kept talking about like they got their fate in their own hands, and if they win, they're going to be in the playoffs. And it's been so long, blah, blah, blah. And the 49ers ran it down their throat. There was no Raheem Mostert, and Jeffrey Wilson Jr. ran for 183 yards on 22 carries on the 49ers. Ayuk did a little bit here and there. CJ Beathard was the starting quarterback for the Niners. He was back with his college teammate, George Kittle. They were teammates for 4 years at Iowa. They were kind of getting back to that. Kittle looked pretty solid and spry, and they just beat up on the Cardinals. Cardinals only mustered up 12 points, stuck at 8-7. Kyler Murray, 50 pass attempts, had a pick in 247. It wasn't a great Cardinals performance.
Pushed them out of a playoff spot too. They'd be the Bears are the last seed now at 7. So
well, there's this whole mixture. Like they have to win. Like the Bears are in if the Cardinals lose, or if the Bears. No, I think if the Bears win, they're in. The Bears have to lose. The Cardinals have to win, and like something else has to happen. It's some ridiculous mixture. The Bucks beat the Lions on Saturday 47-7. Tom Brady had 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans had a $181.
I mean, he got benched at halftime. Brady did.
Yeah,
Blaine Gabbert came out for the second half.
They scored 34 points in the first half. 34 points. It was 34-0 going into the third quarter. What's the point? You don't need any of it.
Gronk you didn't need him.
No, that's
why Gabbert came in and he threw a couple touchdowns. But Mike Davis just at the back, or Mike Evans in the back end of the season here has really, really ticked up and is going to be a higher pick than expected.
Yeah, he looks healthier. He did not look healthy at the beginning of the year, and he also had no connection with Brady. Brady has moved away from everybody in favor of Mike Evans this entire second half of the year.
Yeah, I mean, he had 100-yard game week 2, week 4, and then not again until week 15. But week 15 he had 110. Week 16 he had 181 and 2 scores, helping a lot of people to championship. So He has 13 touchdowns on the year now. So great year by Mike Evans when it's all said and done.
There's really going to be something about us looking back when we get into next year, specifically focusing on fantasy football, about extrapolating those huge performances and what they're going to do to value. Because talk about, I mean, Mike Evans might be a special situation because of health and whatnot, but talk about like how much of his production probably came from 3 games this entire year. And Alvin Kamara, you might have 60 to 70% if you count 2 games, because I think he had a 3 touchdown game and then this one over here. You're going to look at these guys that had these overwhelming performances that are going to equate to so much of their production. And I don't like to do that bit a whole bunch, because we did this years back with like Ben Roethlisberger and some other players where it's like, well, if you take, this 2 games out, this is what they did. But there is something to that this year. There's been a couple of those guys that have put up these otherworldly performances who also really sucked for a decent amount of time. And that was Mike Evans. Mike Evans was in a droppable. People were claiming to drop Mike Evans in mid. Analysts were saying drop him, and look at him now.
Yeah, I mean that was that. Look, Mike Evans is an Aggie. I hate Aggies, but this dude is great. He's a great player. So it made no sense. Like when you have one of the best quarterbacks ever throwing the football to him, it's going to work at some point. So, I mean, Evans, it's funny. Like if you just combine Lockett and Evans, it was like Lockett had a good first half. Evans had a good back half, and you're all set there. And now Lockett is going to plummet because he had such a bad second half. So
it's wild.
It's going to be, the first couple mock drafts are going to be very, very interesting. I'll say that.
The final game on Saturday, the Dolphins ended up pulling one out against the Raiders, 26-25. Myles Gaskin had 2 touchdowns in the air, 5 for 86. Gaskin also had 87 on the ground. He had a huge day. Fitzpatrick came in to win the day with that insane no-look pass at the end, which I think Patrick Mahomes tweeted the greatest no-look pass in NFL history because his eyes were pulled back and Fitzpatrick came in. Dolphins are a wild team, dude. They are the biggest anomaly to me. They are, and I hate to say it, but it's like they are the best talentless team I've ever seen. Like, I'm not saying these are NFL players, but if you put it in comparison, there's not great players on this team, or too raw, or Tua is raw. Fitzpatrick is okay. They got Devontae Parker when he's actually out there. There's so many collective clowny pieces out there, yet their collective is bigger than any single player, and they continue to pull out games. I just don't understand them.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have a really good defense, and a lot of that was that they gelled real quick. I mean, they brought in a ton of free agents this year and stuff, and it just all worked out. So that's a big part of it, is the defense. Of course, that's Brian Flores' thing. And then the offense is doing enough to win. Tua, for the most part, has been a good enough game manager. It's going to be interesting to see how they move going forward. They play Buffalo this week, and is Buffalo going to be sitting starters, or are they going to be trying to get up to the number 2 seed? Like how is Buffalo going to work? I'm not real sure this week. So it's going to be interesting to see. But, speaking of big time performance, late Gaskin saved a lot of people this week, which really surprised me. And they went to Ahmed first. Ahmed was getting the first carries, but he was just terrible. So they went to Gaskin, and he was good. So they just let him take the rest of the carries there. So you're right. It's an interesting team. The targets are rough. It's Gesicki and Parker didn't play in this game. And I guess Gaskin, but, going down from losing Preston Williams, going down to Jakeem Grant and Lynn Bowden, who is moving positions again. Mac Hollins, who has got no run in the NFL really before this. So they need to build it out, but they're not far off at all.
What about the Tua Fitzpatrick thing? Do you think that works? They seem to work with them, but like, how often do you see like they're just like, no, we can't go Tua anymore. Fitzpatrick in and game. I mean, this is a playoff-ish bound team, and they are intertwining quarterbacks. You just don't see that except in college.
I think whoever starts this week gets the playoff start too. So if they go to Fitzpatrick. They're going to Fitzpatrick, but they've done this before. They benched Tua for Fitzpatrick and then started Tua the next week. So
Fitzpatrick is going to become like a closer from baseball. It's like Tua is like, he goes 7, and then Fitzpatrick's going to come in for 2 to pick up the save. It's just fourth quarter hits and Fitzpatrick comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be doing that, but I think they're going to go back to Tua. I think he gives them the best chance to win in most cases. They had to come back and win in this one. Tua was off, but I think they want it. They want Tua to get that experience, and if they make the playoffs, I can't imagine that Tua's not starting that game. So I think Tua starts the last two as well.
All right, well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will get into the Sunday games, the first set of Sunday games, right here on the Fantasy Black Book. Friendos, does your bush situation look like Bogman's face? Could it possibly be like Bogman's hair? That's a problem. And that is why our partners here with the Brawl Network at Manscaped, they partnered together to make sure that you don't gamble on shaving your balls the same way you like to gamble on football. And boy, I don't want my balls handled with a razor any way like I gamble. Trust me. They got the new lawnmower 3.0.
Blind man would be working that razor, Welsh.
I mean, it would be a serious problem. The lawnmower 3.0, it's the best hygiene tool for the modern man. It's also waterproof, has an LED light on it. That's an absolute game changer there, Bogman. They've got the perfect package 3.0, which comes with the new and improved lawnmower. So check that out. And for a limited time, subscribers get not one, but two free gifts. The Shed Travel Bag, which is a $40 value, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code at Manscaped. What is that code? BRAWL. 20% off with free shipping with the code BRAWL at manscaped.com. 20% off. Code BRAWL at Manscaped. Get your balls taken care of. I've always said that. I've always said take care of your balls.
Yeah, you got to mind the stepchildren, right? Mind the stepchildren.
It's like it's a thing of life. The Kansas City Chiefs' favorite thing on the planet is what, Bogman? I always say it every single week on our show. We have a radio show on Sports Grid. I've been going against Kansas City for a couple weeks now because their favorite thing is to do what?
Not cover the spread. Ever.
And what did they do this week?
Not cover the spread. They barely won this game.
They barely won. The Atlanta Falcons had, I think they had a lead for a little bit.
They had a lead for most of the game.
Yeah, it felt like it. The Chiefs won.
Kansas City scored the go-ahead touchdown with less than 2 minutes left on the clock. It was 1:55. So until that point, Atlanta was leading.
That wasn't the first half score. That was the entire game score. 17-14. The Chiefs beat the Falcons. Chiefs are now 14-1 on the year. Matt Ryan had a decent day, 300 with 2 scores. Ridley was doing some stuff. Travis Kelce ruining my dreams of fantasy championships because that's what he is. And Patrick Mahomes continues to do the thing. What do you think MVP is right now? I saw there was like a chart up with MVP stuff. And
I think it should be Josh Allen, but Aaron Rodgers.
Josh Allen was on it. I think I was going to say it's a 3-man race to me. It's like Mahomes, Derrick Henry.
If you listen to anything in the media, like NFL Network and NBC and CBS and all that crap, it's only between Rodgers and Mahomes, and most people are leaning towards Rodgers.
I think I agree with you because my immediate reaction was Mahomes, Rodgers, and then you put Derrick Henry in there because the guy has a legit shot to go 2,000 this year. But you're right, Josh Allen belongs in that conversation. And really, Mahomes has been a little pedestrian the last 3 or 4 weeks, maybe. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ish. So Chiefs 14-1. They are the powerhouse in the AFC. Not much more to cover there. Jets cannot get out of their own way. They are amazing. They're doing it. I mean, they have a knack to alienate their fan base more than anybody else because listen, through the first 9 weeks, Jets fans were just pissed. Can't win a game, blah, blah, blah. Then Jets fans came, maybe it was even a little bit earlier, came to a point where they just accepted and said, you know what? Let's lose all the games. Let's get Trevor Lawrence. This is a Heisman-like player, blah, blah, blah. And then just when the Jets fans were just completely ready, they're 0-13, full commitment, they rattle off 2 straight wins. Jamison Crowder had 92 with a score. He also threw a touchdown to Berrios, and they absolutely allowed the Browns to crap the bed in New York. The Browns, who had 10 wins on the season, looked absolutely miserable in this game. They also were out 3 receivers that were out for COVID. It was Donovan Peoples and Rashard Higgins and Landry. So they were without, but
they only had Marvin Hall was their only wide receiver.
That's crazy. But also they just couldn't manage anything. The Jets manhandled them, and the Jets completely. I mean, I don't think there's a scenario right now if they lose and the Jags win.
No, it's over. Jags have clinched the number 1 pick. They have it, but the Jets can't move out of number 2 even if they win. So because they have 2 wins, the Jaguars have 1, and the next lowest is 4. I think the Falcons and somebody else only have 4 wins. So it's the Falcons. Hold on, the Falcons, Texans are both 4-11. And that's, remember, Miami gets that pick. And then the Eagles.
Right now, Miami is set to get the 3rd overall pick in that trade, which is hilarious.
The Eagles and Bengals, remember, they tied, but they both also only have 4 wins. They're 4-10-1. So, yeah, I mean, look, they're going to stick with that 2nd pick. I actually did see a mock draft today where Kyle Krabs from the Draft Network, who is a Niners fan, Welsh, had the Niners trading up to that number 2 pick to take Zach Wilson, the quarterback out of BYU. So
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, this year is gigantic year.
What happened to Fields?
Yeah, Justin Fields.
Josh
Fields is a
former White Sox prospect, and also played quarterback
in jail now. Josh Fields,
oh, you're being slanderous.
Who was the guy? I'm thinking of the Padres guy. Who was that guy that wound up in jail? Matt Bush.
Bush. Oh, yeah. You know what? He revived his career as a reliever with the Rangers and stuff.
Right. So the Jets are they're gonna stick at pick number 2.
What happened? You didn't answer. What happened to Justin Fields?
Oh, no, Fields is still gonna be 2nd or 3rd quarterback.
Who the hell is this other guy?
But Zach Wilson from BYU. There's a lot of people that are in on him. So
it's like a generic name.
Yeah,
that's Madden generic name.
He goes to BYU. Come on, man. You remember
Dan Smith. Oh, I didn't. Yeah.
Dan Smith, BYU. Right. Remember?
Dan Smith, Zach Wilson, same thing. Okay.
I think the Jets are going to stick at 2, and they're going to take Penei Sewell, who has been described as a generational type of offensive tackle out of Oregon.
Oh, there's always these generational offensive tackle.
There is, but he's the best tackle.
You know what? The Jets had a generational offensive tackle in DeBrickashaw Ferguson, and you know what that got them? 7 wins in like 5 years or something like that. The Jets were trash with their generational offensive linemen.
They just took Becton, though. I think,
look at them now, 2-13. Whew.
I'm not sitting here telling you that Becton is going to get you wins. I'm not even saying Sewell will. I know you hate offensive linemen, but they're a big part of winning Super Bowl.
First round offensive linemen. Just take your stupid offensive lineman in the 3rd or 4th round, feed him a bunch of Whataburger in the offseason, have him do some dead weight lifting, and then he'll push back they're fine. There's plenty of great 3rd and 4th round.
You know what? It definitely works like that because that's everyone's plan, and all the offensive line work out for every team.
You know what? I have a project. I have a project for someone. I want someone to pull all of the starting offensive linemen in the NFL and give me I want an average of round. I want to know how many first rounders are out there starting versus 3rd and 4th rounders. You can pair 3rd and 4th round as their own tier and 1st and 2nd as their other tier. And I want to see the percentage.
Yeah, someone get on that for the Welsh. I'm sure someone will volunteer to go through all that work to prove the point for you. Anyway, they're going to take Penei Sewell 2nd, and then they'll have a good offensive line for Sam Darnold. I mean, that's I would rather stick with Darnold than take a risk on someone that's not Trevor Lawrence. So as far as my opinion goes, with taking someone in the 2nd spot, Micah Parsons from Penn State, going to be a very high pick as well, the linebacker. So they can also trade. There's going to be interest in teams moving up. I saw a couple mocks where the Bengals moved up there to get Sewell because they need offensive line like nobody's business. So we'll see what happens.
Marinara?
The Jets are number 2. Yeah.
Is it garlic or marinara?
I just don't I'll never understand why you disrespect offensive linemen.
Because it's silly for teams like that. They also
it's not silly at all. It's necessary. If you're going to pay a quarterback, whoever your quarterback is, if you're going to pay a quarterback, $100 million to $500 million, right? What Patrick Mahomes is getting, why would you not protect that asset?
In the 3rd round, in the 4th round.
All right.
You know what the third and fourth round is for? Running backs and offensive linemen. You know what the first round is for? Pass rushers, wide receivers, and quarterbacks.
The Steelers, all they do is take wide receivers in the third round, and they all wind up going to the Pro Bowl. So.
They're amazing. By the way, next game up, Pittsburgh Steelers were able to hold off with a 14-point fourth quarter run to hold off the Colts, winning their 12th game of the year, 28-24. Bogman was all but assured the Colts were going to stomp them. I had faith in your Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger had 3 touchdowns.
Was that faith still there after the first half, or were you?
Believed.
Yeah, okay.
Every minute, I believed. Even after Jonathan Taylor's 2 rushing touchdowns, Juju Smith-Schuster just reappeared. 9 catches, 96 yards, and a score, because they do know how to work those up. Talk to me about your Pittsburgh Steelers. Jonathan Taylor. Well, we'll do Taylor in a second. Talk to me about your Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, look, the offense, it was after that big Deontay Johnson touchdown early in the second half, the offense just started clicking again. Like Ben was all of a sudden completing passes. He was waiting a little bit longer to throw it downfield and actually taking some shots. I think at some point, Ben got a little gun shy getting hit so much. So, I think that was a big part of it, but whatever that was clicked, and the Steelers started to put together some drives, and, the momentum got on their side, and the defense is good. Even with all the injuries that they've had, the defense is still really, really good. So, and really the Colts just choked this game away. They couldn't score in the second half. They put up 1 field goal. That was it. So they kind of just pissed this one away.
Jonathan Taylor, with his 2 scores and this back half of the year run, has turned what looked like, you start off with this amazing opportunity with Marlon Mack going down, and then the Colts kind of let the situation fumble. He's currently sitting on, no pun intended, 202 rushes for 916 yards and 9 touchdowns. He is 84 yards away from walking out of his, and a touchdown, by the way. He would walk out of his rookie season over 1,000-yard rushing, and he would be at 10 rushing touchdowns. I'm trying to see, did he get a receiving touchdown this year? He did have one. So that would be, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He already has 10 total touchdowns. It'd be 10 rushing touchdowns and over 1,000 yards for give him like 90 yards and a score this week. This coming week in week 17. And Jonathan Taylor is going to walk out as one of the most valuable rookie running back assets, and really is going to have won people championships with this late run that he's done, because he's also on a touchdown tear. He has 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He's rushed for at least 74 yards in the last 3. Week 14, he rushed for 150 in them, and he even had 4 catches in week 15. So, pretty solid end of the season. How do you think we're going to look at Jonathan Taylor next year?
I think he's going to be a very high pick. My question to you is, if I can throw it right back, would you rather go into next year with Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jonathan Taylor?
I know you're going to.
Look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not a terrible year. He didn't have 200 carries. He had 181, and obviously he's done. He's hurt right now. Might come back for the playoffs, but he's going to end up with what would that be? 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had 36 catches, and they're not going to have Bell's going to be gone, and I think Damian Williams might let him walk too. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire should be the man here.
I'd love to hear what happened with Helaire week 7 on outside of Bell. Like, what was the impetus? Because before that, through the first 6 weeks of the year, he had 3 20-carry games, and he did have 2 10-carry games that went down, but he was able to accompany those with some decent rushing yards, and he was such an asset. And then Bell comes in, but it wasn't just Bell coming in and they stopped using him. They just stopped the running game whatsoever. So your question is really valid and good, because that offense is killer. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't knock the boots off of anything. 4.4 per rush, 800 total rushing yards. I mean, if you put him up with the same carries versus Jonathan Taylor, they'd be about on par without the touchdowns. Now, if Marlon Mack comes back and they've still got Hines, there's something to be said that I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire might get the slight edge, Boggs. But I guess, I think the value.
Who would you rather have right now this second?
You want to know me? I want to know
who you would rather have.
I'd say Jonathan Taylor.
Me too.
I mean, Dynasty, I wanted Jonathan Taylor's my number 1 coming into this year, and that's never changed. But redraft, I'm going to still go with Jonathan Taylor, I guess.
They don't run the ball effectively enough in Kansas City most games for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be over Jonathan Taylor. And I would be more afraid of Taylor with Hines and Hines having those big games. But I think what we saw in the second half is the beginning of the end for Hines. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor. He's getting better and better. And just watching him in that Pittsburgh game, I was just going, God, this guy's going to be good for a long time. And he is. He's going to be really good.
Yeah, you're 100% right about that. Bears beat the Jaguars 41-17. Mitchell Trubisky, 265, 2 scores. Allen Robinson had 10 catches. Montgomery continues to do the business. They scored 21 third quarter points. They scored 28 in the second half. Jaguars, we said, secured up the first overall pick. Any takeaways on the Bears? Bears 8-7. You know, like you said, they hold their destiny in their hand. They win, they're in this coming week.
They're playing Green Bay though, and Green Bay wants to hold on to that number 1 seed. So it's in Chicago, which is their benefit. But we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see what's happening. Are they for real a contender? Because they're gonna be breathing down Trubisky's throat in this game. There's no pressure put on him against Jacksonville, and they ran roughshod over them. Jacksonville is just packed it in for next year. So they haven't won since week 1, Jacksonville. But I think Nagy saved his job. I think Trubisky saved his future the back half of this season. And it's really starting to work.
Move away from him either. There's no way they're going to move away from Trubisky with the success that
they shouldn't.
But Allen Robinson is gone, though, and that's going to change a lot. There's no way he wants to come back. No way.
There's probably not, but they might. They can always franchise him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens as far as him coming back.
They could. I just couldn't. I mean, I want to say they wouldn't because you got Mooney and Anthony Miller, but you know what?
Why wouldn't they though? Like it doesn't. It doesn't make sense for them not to. I don't know what the cap situation is like.
Yeah, but he could start a whole thing.
Yeah, he could if he wanted to, but he hasn't done that in the past. And look, he just got 13 targets, had 10 catches for 103 yards. If Trubisky's going to play well, especially let's say they beat Green Bay this week and they make the playoffs. I mean, if they win one playoff game, where is Robinson going to go that's so much better? You know what I mean? So why not just stick and see what happens with this team? I think they have their three-headed monster here in Trubisky, Montgomery, and Robinson, and they're playing well. And this is a great test, this Green Bay game. And I think if they can beat Green Bay, they might be able to make some noise in the playoffs too. So Trubisky's their guy, and Nagy is their head coach. And we didn't think that, right around week 6 this year, especially when they went to Nick Foles, and Nick Foles was so horrific. But they got it all working now. They're clicking on all cylinders. They're peaking at the right time for sure.
One more game before we go to break. Baltimore Ravens beat the New York Football Giants 27-13. Lamar Jackson, 80 on the ground, 2 touchdowns in the air for $183. Gus Edwards had some yards. J.K. Dobbins continues to look good. Andrews was back. Marquise Brown, not a whole lot, but did have a touchdown on the Giants side. Daniel Jones, 1 passing touchdown in the air. Sterling Shepard, okay. Everybody else was pretty quiet. But the emergence of J.K. Dobbins, that's another one, man, that we're going to walk into next year. It's like it's going to be clear-cut, Allaire, and then it's going to go to Jonathan Taylor. But J.K. Dobbins is going to be right there. My only worry, and I feel like it's continuously being validated into the conversation next year, is how high people are going to go on Dobbins, because you still have a guy like Edwards, whoever it is, if it is Edwards, if it's another guy, and Lamar Jackson, all vying for that. Yes, J.K. Dobbins might be the first go. That's not a guarantee. He has a limit. The upside is limited by his amount of opportunities, and it's gonna kind of halt back my crazy obsession with wanting him in 2021, Boggs.
Yeah, and it's understandable. And Lamar, it seemed like in the beginning of the year and even midway through, they were kind of like, let's not run Lamar as much. Game 2, he had 16 rushes, but there was a stretch here, 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row where he didn't have 10 carries. And then they started running him again beginning in November, 16, 13, 11, 13, 13. 13 rushes in the last game, 2 for 80 yards. I had 9 for 124 against Cleveland. Like, you just have to let this guy play his game. And I think they've learned that. So Lamar is always going to get his rushing attempts. And then you have Dobbins. Plus, they want somebody else mixed in there, whether it's Gus Edwards or a draft pick or a free agent signing or whoever. They want a three-headed monster in the backfield. So that's what they're going to get. Dobbins should be the lead guy though. But I'm with you as far as people are going to see this potential and they're going to do the extrapolating game. Well, if he gets so many more carries, he's going to be this, that, and the other thing, because only 121 carries, only 18 catches. If that bumps up, and it should next year, how high can he go? But I think he might be a guy that ends up getting overdrafted.
I don't see it. You know what? He's going to be like the young, exciting version of Raheem Mostert, where you're going to look at all the talent, you're going to look at all the possibilities and the potential. Look what he does in this short stint. But guess what? They're just not going to give it to him. They're just not going to give him 25 carries or 23 carries. It's not going to happen. It just, with Lamar Jackson taking the brunt and a secondary back, they found a system that works well for them. It's not going to change. So it limits it where, if Mostert with the Niners were getting 23 carries a game, he would be a second-round pick, and Dobbins would be the same way. But guess what? They're fourth-round picks or late third-round picks because they're limited by those carries, and that's how it's going to be. All right, quick break. We'll be right back for the rest and finish up the games right here on the Fantasy Black Book.
Black.
Who wants a shot at some millies? Raise your hand. I do. I would like some millies. Well, thanks to our partnership here at Brawl with DraftKings, all new players can play free for millions with your first deposit. Here is how it's going to work, friends. First, create a DraftKings DFS account and make a deposit. DraftKings will then credit your account with a free entry to these contests. Then you're going to draft your lineup and go for the millions in top prizes. Just go to dkng.co/brawlpod to play. That's dkng.co/brawlpod. Act quickly. This offer's not going to be around forever. There's a minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. dkng.co/brawlpod. That's what you got to go do. All right. The last set of games here. I'm going to save this topic with the Bengals. Here's a topic what I wanted to talk about. We're going to save that for the 2-minute drill with the piece of news that came out with the Bengals. But them Bengals picked up their 4th win of the year, beating the Texans 37-31. They both have 4 wins. These teams are a combined 8-21-1. That's how atrocious they both are. Brandon Allen led the way for the Bengals with 371 and 2 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks was pretty big for Houston, 141 and a score. And didn't see that one coming. Actually, I just remember someone asking a question of 3 people, and I did not pick Brandon Cooks, and Brandon Cooks was huge. So Bengals, Bogman, this is another one on the gambling side. You didn't think the Bengals were going to win. I thought they would carry momentum, and they took it to Houston.
I don't know how much they carried momentum as much as Houston laid down and died. Like it really seems that way. I can't imagine. I know the Texans defense has been bad, but you let Brandon Allen throw for 371 yards and 2 scores on you. Like, what are you guys doing? They still have a good core here, though. I mean, Bernard has been pretty good. Samaje Perine looked good, but the Texans also give up the most rushing yards. And the JJ Watt, the post game speech. Did you see that whole thing with him?
I didn't hear it, but I saw and everybody comment. I saw some people pissed off about it.
No, why?
I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
Like, we hate this talk, and I was like, "What?" From what I told, it was pretty.
Whoever that is dumb. Like, I just that's a bad take. What JJ Watt had said.
I'll tell you what.
I don't care. What JJ Watt had said after the game was, "If you don't want to be here, you shouldn't be here. It's a privilege to play. So many people are still watching our games, even though we're bad. They still have faith in us. If you don't want to show up, you're showing up to practice late. If you're not taking anything seriously, it doesn't matter. You are very well compensated to play a game. Get your ass out there, get in gear, and show up to play." It was a great speech. Every fan should want to go up and shake JJ Watt's hand because, he said this. This is the respect that the fans deserve. And I was very impressed by it. I mean, but I'm also not surprised. This is
should I play it real quick? Is it
play it. Yeah,
right, let's see. Share audio.
And there might be some cussing, but I think they beep it out. So
really? Well, let's hope so. All right, here we go.
Go out to the practice.
You hear that?
If you can't come in and put work in the building, go out to the practice field and work hard, do your lifts and do what you're supposed to do. You should not be here. This is a job. We are getting paid a whole lot of money. There are a lot of people that watch us and invest their time and their money into buying our jerseys and buying a whole bunch of and they care about it. They care every single week. We're in week 16 and we're 4-11, and there's fans that watch this game, that show up to the stadium, that put in time and energy and effort and care about this. So if you can't go out there and you can't work out, you can't show up on time, you can't practice, you can't want to go out there and win, you shouldn't be here, because this is a privilege. It's the greatest job in the world. You get to go out and play a game. And if you can't care enough, even in week 17, even when you're trash, when you're 4-11, if you can't care enough to go out there and give everything you've got and try your hardest, that's bullshit. So that's how I think there are people every week that still tweet you, that still come up to you and say, hey, we're still rooting for you, we're still behind you. They have no reason whatsoever to. We stink. But they care, and they still want to win, and they still want you to be great. That's why. Those people aren't getting paid. We're getting paid handsomely. That's why. And that's who I feel the most bad for, is our fans and the people who care so deeply in the city, and the people who love it and who truly want it to be great. And it's not. And that sucks as a player, to know that we're not giving them what they deserve.
I was so impacted, Bogman. I just
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything after that. So no,
I was
Welsh
so
was
impacted.
completely away from the screen here. But
it was like a moment where he's like just knocks down the mic and he goes, I'm JJ Watt and I'm here to make Houston great again.
Seriously, like, that guy is going to be such a good coach, or at least recruiter for Wisconsin. Like, whatever he does post football, I want to go run through a wall for him right now. It was awesome. And that's the type of leader every single person wants their team to have. You want a guy like JJ Watt on your team. I cannot wait until he comes to Pittsburgh next year to play with his brothers. It's going to be the
get all the Watts there. All right, let's that's actually funny. Let's keep rolling along here. That was actually really powerful. I like that. The person must have been talking about like a player needing to say this. I must have misread, because like, why would you not want to run through a wall after
right?
That? I totally agree.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, whoever had that opinion, we don't want to hear this, is wrong. Like,
yeah, I must have just read that wrong. In a game no one needed to watch, the Chargers beat the Broncos 19-16. It was a Jake Seeley game because Deshaun Hamilton 5 for 77. Seeley vindicated. There's literally nothing to cover in this game, right?
No, Drew Lock is now tied with Carson Wentz for the league lead in picks at 15. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Is I keep saying that I think Elway wants to give him another shot. I know there are a lot of Broncos fans that still like him. He definitely has a cannon of an arm. He sucks. He's not good. He should be a backup. He should at least sit and learn for a little while, and then maybe get another crack to start later in his career. But he's not good enough to be starting in the NFL right now.
He is not. The Cowboys picked up their 6th win of the year, eliminating the Eagles from playoff contention, 37-17. Andy Dalton, 377, 3 touchdowns. Michael Gallup had a huge day, 121, 2 scores. Zeke went over 100. This was the epitome of like when Dak went down. I mean, I don't want to say what's his name's idiotic comments, but even I had some dumb comments. I never said that this would be Tony Dungy. I wouldn't say this is better for them, but saying, hey, listen, Dalton is a pro enough with the talent around this team that he can make this work. And they couldn't for a long time. And then all of a sudden it just clicked. These are the games you were expecting. Dalton, 3 touchdowns, Gallup, Cooper, Lamb, all doing their thing. Elliott getting 100 yards. He finally got some volume. Tony Pollard kind of disappeared here, and the Eagles fall off into obscurity.
Yeah, it's hard to believe with the way that the Cowboys have gone this year that they still have a shot at the playoffs last week of the season. So that is fairly impressive, and I think they're going to get it. I think they have a chance to get this playoff spot. So McCarthy has them playing well. He's definitely not getting fired. And just imagine if Dak had not gotten hurt, how many more wins his team would have pulled off. The Cowboys are a good squad right now. They're playing very well. They're peaking at the right time. That's a huge thing going into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make any playoff noise, but I definitely could see them playing in the first round, and I would not be shocked. So.
I mean, I'll enjoy watching them get eliminated in the first round.
Yeah. See, this is why you get no sympathy from Cowboys fans right here.
I'm asking for it. I'm not asking for sympathy.
I didn't say you were asking for it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm saying just don't come on my timeline.
Yeah,
or you're going to get blocked. You're staying blocked because I didn't win in the Snake League. So that was their
I thought
out.
It was the Niners had to beat the Cardinals. So was the thing.
No, it was me winning in the Snake championship.
So
I'm just saying, no, absolutely not. The Seahawks interdivision game. Seahawks beat the Rams 20-9. Seahawks picked up their 11th win of the year. Bogman,
they're backing in, dude.
I gotta say something to you. I learned something this weekend, and not that I pay attention to this type of stuff, nor does it matter, but it was just shocking to me for some reason, and it's probably because of this. I learned, maybe you're gonna be like, yeah, dude, I totally knew this. I didn't know. Do you know Pete Carroll is the oldest coach in the NFL? I didn't know that. When I think of old, I think of Bruce Arians. I thought of, Belichick. I just didn't think of Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll,
amazing shape.
He's like top 10 most vibrant of NFL coaches running around. He looks great. He
had leg surgery at the beginning of the season. I can't remember if it was a knee replacement or some type of cleanup or something that he did. But he had a cane for one game, and I'm like, well, now he kind of looks old. He ditched it the next week. He was fine.
Belichick seems like he's like post seizure, or post stroke. He's just like, brr, 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 brr. Like I didn't. When I saw that, I was like, what? Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the NFL. Like Arians is the one where he was like, I'll come back for one last ride, and Carroll just keeps going. Not that it's apparent to any of this. It just, I saw that and I was like, wow, that blew my mind.
I think I heard it last year, the year before, and I was surprised when I heard it. So yeah, it's definitely, he does not seem like the oldest coach at all by a long stretch. There are plenty of guys. You just mentioned Bruce Arians seems way older. Belichick seems way older than him. So it is very surprising. And it's also surprising that he's whatever he is, 71, 72, 69. And then nice. And then what's his name? McVay is literally 30 years younger than him almost. Like it's he might be he's younger than us, McVay is. I think he's 35. So he is over 30 years younger than Carroll, and they have the same job. But the experience one,
Carroll's better at it. Yeah. And Carroll's just better at it. Final game. This was Sunday Night Football. Packers beat the Tennessee Titans. I thought this could be like, Super Bowl potential matchup here. And the Titans look so not good. Packers were so dominant in a winnery, snowballish type of game. They won 40-14. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns in this. Didn't even need to do anything in the second half. Devontae Adams, 142 on 11 catches, 3 touchdowns. And Aaron Jones, who I wish would have got knocked out the entire game, and otherwise I'd be celebrating a fantasy championship, laid side to A.J. Dillon, who got run 21 carries, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Packer fans getting to relive why Dillon was anything. Adams and Rodgers continue to be just the most dynamic duo in the NFL as far as connection goes. I'd even argue, what's better, Mahomes and Tyreek Hill or Adams and Rodgers? I think it might be Rodgers and Adams.
I don't know. They're both really good. So.
Mahomes and Hill is more exciting, but Rodgers and Adams is like peanut butter.
I think if I have to pick one to take over a game, I'm taking Mahomes and Hill. So, but Adams is really good. And Adams was so good on Sunday Night Football that he made Chris Collinsworth sound like Rex Ryan. Did you hear him keep talking about Devontae Adams' amazing footwork? He's like, it's all footwork. I don't listen to those with any sound. He doesn't hand fight. Adams does not hand fight at the line when he's impressed. He moves his feet so fast though. He always gets off that break, and it was really amazing. And I think the most impressive thing in this game was A.J. Dillon taking those Aaron Jones reps, which I did not. I'm happy it happened because it won me a championship barely by like 3 points. But the reason I won is because A.J. Dillon put up Aaron Jones' normal line. So no Jamal Williams here, but also Williams and Jones are both gone.
Jones is gone. I mean, they're gone, but like Jones is gone. Like
right.
AJ, this is the type of thing where AJ Dillon, they were able to solidify, oh look, we can do this with Dillon. They're not going to pay Aaron Jones that money. No way.
No. And those guys were drafted the same year. Jones was drafted after Jamal Williams. So just the more complete back out of UTEP Jones is. So it's gonna be exciting to watch AJ Dillon run. And he had some great vision in this game, and he's a power runner. He's gonna be a lot of fun to watch at the NFL level. And Rodgers is going to turn him in. He's going to turn him into a pass catcher. He didn't do a lot of it at Boston College, but they do it enough. He had a couple nice catches in the game last night. Dillon is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And we didn't even talk about Jared Goff breaking his thumb, dude. That might keep him out next week. So, it's not going to matter. They're probably going to lose in the first round if there's no Goff, but that could have sunk their whole season.
Could have done it anyways. Hey, 2-minute drill starts right now. Bogman, I hear this all the time, and you know me better than anybody. I get lost in the little dumb intricacies, little tropey things that happen, and this one just doesn't stop but annoy me. Baseball does it, basketball does it, but we got word as far as the Bengals go that Joe Mixon is not going to return. They say he won't return for the season finale. So reports go out and they go, he's out for the season. And it's like, guys, can we not drop out for the season when there's one damn game left in the NFL in week 17? Like, I get you want to have your salacious little headlines, but you don't need to scroll bar the top of Roto World with Joe Mixon out for the season. We get it, guy. It's week 17. It's one game. Brandon Ayuk out for the season. It's one game. He's going to miss one game. Joe Mixon's finally out. The devastation.
We'll miss the season finale. Like, that's how you should say it. We'll miss the regular season finale. That's it. And then get out. Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on this.
This isn't like a Joe 2-minute drill, by the way. This is like me venting.
This is a Welsh vent. Yeah, and that's more than fine. I get annoyed by those little things too, and that one does bother me. I don't think it bothers me to the level that it bothers you, because I am so good at rolling my eyes at things. But I read that and I give him one of these. Ugh. Out for
it's like a baseball player getting suspended. They're like, he's suspended for 10 games. You're like, guys, that's one start. Like, he's got to miss one start. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's completely dumb. All right, friends, that is the episode. Fantasy Black Book. Joe Pisapia out, but you can find him on Twitter at Joe Pisapia17, and you can find the all-new Fantasy Black Book Baseball Edition now available on Amazon. You can get the digital copy, or you can get a physical paper copy. And guess what? I'm in it. You can check out, I did some strategy stuff for head-to-head and Roto if you're a baseball guy. So go check it out. The best-selling Fantasy Black Book. It's a staple in the fantasy community. The football got you here. The baseball can get you there. So go check it out today. You can find me on Twitter at IsItTheWelsh, Bogman on Twitter at Bogman Sports. And of course, make sure you subscribe to this on the Brawl Network. You can check the video of everything we just did at the Brawl Network's YouTube page. For Brawl, for Bogman, Pisapia, I'm Welsh. We friends. We're out of here till next time. Peace.